right? And because we haven't talked about parenting a lot for a little while, and I just came across an article that I thought was kind of fun. I want to kind of run down through it, where they're ditching these parent trends, and so we're gonna play around with it and see if we kind of agree with what the trends are. Some of the trends, John, I didn't even know that they were there. So we have an interesting split screen though. Casey and I think Victoria is not going to be able to be with us today. Casey had some ball games, and Victoria had a splitting headache. She didn't look good all day
This
today.
is millennials.
Eh,
Oh, I'm not supposed to say that Casey's a millennial. So
You're already starting out rough, man. That is Mr. John Pope who hangs out with us. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you, considering. Yeah,
And welcome back. Yes, considering you
yeah,
had a rough week. We talked about your dad and the funeral, and it's nice to see your smiling face, and I know
yeah.
you've had a hell of a time of it. So how you doing? And welcome back.
Well, thank you very much. I'm processing, and I know about the statistics about the grief period. It's usually anywhere from a year to 18 months for good grief and processing it. Now, on the other hand, my experience is that I'm actually undergoing this quite late in life. I've lost my grandparents many years ago, but I was much younger at the time. My father was 99, and that was, um, and I'm 72, and I had never lost a parent until my brother and I and sister hadn't lost a parent until then.
Wow.
So
Right.
this was um, it's not easy,
Yeah.
but there's also a sense that life was well lived, and and then there was a real comfort with our because of our I believe our faith and my father's faith, and so I think it was very helpful in the long run. My mom is very bereft. She was married 75 years.
Wow.
75
75-year
years.
long marriage.
Yeah. That was a
That's
long
awesome.
marriage. It was a happy marriage. And
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome,
you
John. What a
know, we
beautiful
don't want
thing.
to lose mom now.
No.
So
Well, I told you, man, I really felt, a special pull. I think it was really cool that you were in Florida. You were kind of where you needed to be, and you
yeah,
felt that you knew it, and the timing couldn't have been better in that regard, brother.
yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. And thank you for your all your well wishes and
Well, we
prayers.
talked about you. We were in spirit. It was funny, man. You could have had the fun with us last week. We know you were doing what you were doing, but my Sadie dog died, and we was talking about grief last week.
Yeah.
I tried to play country roads to take her out like I did with my sister, and I didn't get a lot of the talking in.
Do you know what we did? Mom wanted Country Roads for my dad, and that was the last song.
Oh hell
So
yeah! Oh hell
yeah,
yeah!
yeah.
Absolutely love that, dude.
We're
That's awesome.
hillbillies, you know. Can
I'm sorry, I'm geeking out on that. That's all.
no,
Let me get
no.
my
It
intro
was
stuff together here. This is Through a Therapist's Eyes, where you get insights in your home or in your car, but knowing it's not the delivery of therapy services in any way. Look, we are truly licensed clinical therapists doing real clinical work every day, and this is where we talk honestly and openly about what actually helps. That's what you get here. We blow up stereotypes and myths and disseminate information about mental health and substance abuse. So, subscribe, click. Listen, I have an apology to deliver. All right. We should probably hopefully make this into a short because we put shorts out on the show, and I have personally been neglectful at responding. I kind of just didn't get oriented to the new YouTube thing, and Neil kind of has shown me, and it's all my fault. I really take that very seriously. That I want to respond. So we respond to everything and we read everything that you share with us. And so I will be doing that better. My apologies, honestly and truly, to everyone that's listened to us across the world. I'm going to get better at responding and seeing that stuff, and I'm geeked up now in knowing how to do that. Thank you, Neil, for being patient with me, brother, and guiding me through kind of how that works. So we are up to. Do we know, Neil, the exact number? Like almost 400 and some change.
392.
Three 392.
Yep.
So I've given people a little bit of grief, as far as we haven't had a new YouTube subscriber, and Neil did check me on that a few several weeks ago, and we're getting there. So you're doing your job, and I really appreciate it. We really appreciate that you tell somebody, you talk to somebody. We want to get YouTube subscribers on specifically and especially. We want to pump it to 1,000. Help us meet that goal by telling at least one person about a particular episode. Tell them to listen to it and subscribe, particularly on YouTube. But John, I want to tell you, Casey did a good job on the 5 stars, man. She held it up for you. She held it down. She did it right.
Good.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Yes.
How many
She
stars are they
she
supposed
has
to give her?
that mind that can see themes. And
She does. I'll move on. Contact at throughtherapisteyes.com is the way to contact us and interact with us. This is the human emotional experience which we do endeavor to figure out together. Um, Look, so parenting, we haven't talked a lot about parenting in a little while. And what we're going to do next week is let Casey and Victoria sort of pipe in and see if they agree with us. And Neil, I didn't say it off the air, but can you track the 11? Let's create a little document or whatever so we remember what John and I had agreed to, and we'll see if they can agree to keep it or ditch it.
I added a section for keep it ditch it, so we can just update it on each of the points.
Well, don't put it on the points on the show because they will see that. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
I'll get you squared away. I got this. You guys do the show. I'll get you squared away.
Love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, John, let's do this show, man. What do you think about parenting? What are we doing here? Millennial parenting. Millennial parents are ditching these 11 parenting trends. Are they right? That's kind of the title that we went with. So, what I did is I just kind of found an article. I wanted to kind of Google scoot around. I was thinking of what we want to talk about, and I came across this, and I was like, parenting trends. That's an interesting uh, concept.
that's an oxymoron. So
How so? Explain that.
no, I was teasing you. I was teasing you. I was just saying, I'm a boomer, and I'm going to say hello, boomer. So that they
So you don't get
because
those emails?
that's right. But what is ditching? What does that mean?
John, what do you mean? What is ditching?
Well,
When you
I
ditch,
just want to get. Uh, so how can they be a trend if they're ditching them? What does that mean?
there, it's
They're leaving them behind. They're throwing them to the curb. They're
yes,
right.
yes. They,
Right.
they have these ideas, these trends that they think should be a part of parenting, and
Yeah, and they don't work.
they
Right.
don't work, so they ditching them, or
Yeah,
they're keeping them. So
I
we're
understand
gonna
that now.
okay.
That's right. As you get older, you start losing your ability to do abstract thinking and
John, I'm trying
conceptualization.
not to say anything about that because I'm right with you, brother.
Yeah.
So what I did is I was looking at these trends and I was kind of like, wow, that's interesting because what are these trends? And I feel like I'm so interested in that because of my I feel like one of the most important topics we have, as I've said now on this show, if you've been listening, I feel like humanity's greatest challenge in the history of humanity is right now, and it isn't technology, it's the rapidly advancing pace of technological change. We emotionally just can't keep up with it. And I think this is another specific area where that really gets impacted. People are kind of getting all of this information, John, and they have all of these trends for sure, right? So it's like, wow, what are these trends I was actually thinking about? And
Yeah.
in part, that goes because my neighbor, oh, I got to be careful here. Um, I don't think it matters. Uh, my neighbor,
You're not going to get a bag of flaming dog poo in your
I,
front.
I don't know, man. His kid might be mad at me, but I don't know if Jordan listens to the show. If you do, brother, I'm sorry, Jordan. I love you, man. But we were talking about this. So they were a new parent about a year or two ago, right? And they had this whole list of newborn rules, right, John? Yes.
Yeah, we talked about this before, I think.
I think we did. I think we did.
Yeah.
And we literally found where this exact list came from
Yeah.
online. And it was just, bro, it was just some stupid stuff that you can't, it is not the
Yeah.
way that we need to be bringing kids up in 2020, at the time, 2024. Um, so I was wondering what the trends are and this article caught my eye, and so you'll see it on the show notes and everything. But I figured, John, let's just go down through them and see if we agree or how we feel about it. Neil, keep track of it for us. But how do you feel like millennials parenting? You're solidly boomer. I'm solidly in the middle of X. I guess Neil, you can pipe in. You want to play with us today, or is it just John and I?
I'll play a little bit. I'm in that border. Like I said, Casey and me are the same age. We're the in some things we're considered millennials, but we don't like to think it because
Yeah.
there's a
I mean,
difference.
you're older millennials, and it's definitely almost. Somebody was telling me there's like a name for it.
Zennials.
What is it?
Zennials. We're Gen X millennials. So we're Zennials.
Zennials.
From 80 to
Yeah, I think that's
85.
what they said. I reject that. I think that's stupid, Johnny. You come on. Like, I
Oh,
don't.
The thing is, all this is arbitrary.
It is totally.
Yeah,
It's fun though. It's fun though.
it is
But
fun.
anyway, you're a boomer, more so. I'm Gen X. Um, Neil and Casey are arguably older millennials, and Victoria is a younger millennial. And what's interesting, next week we'll get a quick rundown on what Casey and Victoria think because they're actively in it. But John, I guess I'm kind of curious from your 30,000 foot view, zooming out, like how the kiddos raising kiddos these days. How they doing? What do you see? What do you experience?
Well, if they ditch these 11 parenting trends, I think they're going to do okay. Personally, that's what I think. One is this complicated chore charts. That's like your friend Jordan. No offense to Jordan. Imagine he's a wonderful father and just is well intended on that, but or you can't hold the baby and you can't, that you can't have a family see the baby or anything like that. And that is taking all the social construct out, all the social relationships out of it. And so I think is that this with the simpler the chores are, the the clear the little kiddo's going to understand what is expected of them. But if you have this complicated chore chart, it's worse than being in military school.
So you're definitely going to lose the first one. We haven't
Yeah.
gotten to that though. I was just kind of getting a generalized idea.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. My general idea is honestly, I feel like the parent-child relationship is sort of ages old. It's been something in the history of man for eons.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of natural process that goes into that. And in that natural process, I see instinct. So
Uh-huh.
I really, maybe this is my in real time sort of landing spot
Uh-huh.
or big generalization to say, if you're a new parent or you're a parent of a teenager right now, like let your instincts be your instincts.
Yes.
We be natural with it. Like relax and allow yourself to be. Put your stamp on parenting. It is not needing to be right or
Uh-huh.
wrong. That's the way I'm thinking in a big
So just trust the force. Let go. let let
indeed trust the force.
Yeah. Well, just think about it. How many thousands of generations has there been a parental bond, mothers and fathers with their children for thousands of generations before even literacy? But
Exactly.
they even found, by the way, and it's with the urbanization of culture and society that they started to develop. They being civilizations started developing. Well, we got to write this down about parenting, and so there's all since literacy happened or developed, writing and reading. There has been something that was written about how to be a good parent. The problem is that the more complicated you make it, the less effective it is, in my opinion. That's all I'm going to say about that. So
No, I love that. I love that and accept that. I think that's absolutely on point. You said leave it to the force, and so I have to geek out for a moment. And then Neil, I'm curious what your big picture view is. of this, but look at what I bought. Look at what I have.
A lightsaber.
Look at what it does.
Oh, it's a butane lighter.
It
Oh
goes up to
man,
there.
I see it. I see it.
It is the world's best cigar lighter ever. Look
Oh
at
my
that right
goodness.
there. Oh my gosh. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm so geeking out. I can't wait to
May the
use
geek goat be with you.
it. You said use the force. That's where my brain went. I just
Yeah.
got it yesterday. So yeah, Neil, what's your 30,000 foot view on these kiddos raising kiddos?
I think there's a lot of with millennials. There's a lot of unknowns with a lot of different things because I feel like they're trying to do opposite of some of the Gen X or Boomer parents. And I think they're trying to figure it out, and I think they're trying to find this balance going back. It's trying to get this balance, good versus evil, what works, what doesn't work, really what's going on with human nature, what we think versus what we were taught. Like, so I think there's a lot of stuff going on. I think we're figuring it out because I think there's things that were on one side earlier, and I think we went the other way really far, dramatically, and I think we're coming into the middle about. I think we're figuring things out.
Yeah.
I think we're getting there, but there are some changes.
Yeah, I just I mean, it's tough because you've lived your life if you're a younger millennial and in the information age and in the rapidly changing knowledge increasing and technology booming, and it's wild. I really don't know how people keep up with it. Um, I know I'm kind of, not native to all this stuff, and at 53, I just don't have an interest in getting good at it. But, I did my apology with a YouTube thing. I mean, I just don't know how you get into a place where all these things are changing all around you all the time, and you're not anxious. I mean, parenting is a bed of anxiety. John, I remember very clearly standing in the grocery store, and I'm kind of like, look, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so worried about money. I don't make a lot of money. I'm doing calculations of diapers and formula in the grocery store, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this child, a kid. Like, I'm gonna be a dad. She's pregnant. Oh my god, I was freaking out, and I think that's normal.
Yeah.
And
I went through that.
I had one very clear thought. I almost feel like it was a God lightning moment, right? And the thought very much was like, look, there's been a few people before you've done this,
Mhm.
and probably if thousands upon trillions of people have been a parent, you're probably going to figure this out, man. It's
Mhm.
it's, it's going to be okay. If they did it, you can do it. And that was really comforting to me, honestly, in that moment. And so I would offer you, if you're a new parent, like I said, and going through, and then we'll go through some of these things here. It's going to be okay. You are going to manage this. You are going to figure this out. You are not going to be perfect, and that's okay. Let your instincts fly.
Yeah. Interesting. Because even even in with my parents' generation, um, not all parents did as good a job as not every parent was a good parent, and there were
Mm.
parents that didn't do what. And I'm making a value judgment, but the fruit of it is that overall, people that were attentive were more successful. Parents that were involved in their kids, but not overly involved, did a better job. But um,
Well, there's some studies with that. I think we have some science wrapped around some of this, John, because we have definitely in our time working with families and kids and such. I mean, seen some pretty crazy parenting things
right,
in
right,
our day.
yeah,
For sure. So there are some trends and some things, and then so let's get to it. Let's get to some of these trends because there are some things that we really want to keep, and there are some things that we do probably need to ditch. So as we're going through these things, I didn't give the three questions we like to give to let you think about as we go through the show. Are modern parenting trends helping families or creating more stress and pressure? And you've heard us talk a little bit about that. Secondly, how do parents balance expert advice with trusting their instincts. I forgot that that was one of the three questions. I
Yeah,
did not
that's
say what I said about that, but that's awesome. And then thirdly, what actually matters most when raising emotionally healthy kids? Um, that's an interesting. Maybe we need to kind of highlight that and bring us back to that, guys, when we're done, because what
yeah.
actually matters most when raising emotionally healthy kids, I think that's something that we want to land on at the end. So, all right, let's get going with this article, and you'll see the article titled "11 Parenting Trends Millennials Are Ditching in 2026."
Mhm.
Neil, you know I was caught off with the idea of a number followed by a title of an article. I loved that, right? You know that, right?
Yeah.
He
Yep.
very quietly says, "Yeah." If you're wondering what's going on right now, I hate that stuff. It drives me nuts. But this one caught my eye. First
It
one
seems, it
is
seems very
complicated.
clickbaity for you, Chris, compared to
What's
what
that?
you usually. It seems very clickbaity for you. So
Yeah, it drives me nuts. Complicated chore charts. So parents are moving away from elaborate chore systems and returning to simpler expectations for helping at home. So this article was kind of funny about it. I do need to. I did intend to bring it up because they have some funny explanations about it. I didn't. I'm not going to go through all of them, but John and Neil, if we want to check out what they meant by it, we can. I got the article up now. We can kind of go through it. This is a quick one. I'll just read what they say. I love a checklist of reminders for my kids, but these overly complicated chore charts, question mark, they gotta go. They are apps. They are magnet charts. They are giant customizable dry erase boards. It's all too much, and it makes giving your kids chores and encouraging them to be part of the team at home way more overwhelming than it needs to be. Let's simplify this in 2026, can we? Whether we use our skylight calendars or just a note on the fridge, kids just need to know how to help out and go from there. I think that's awesome. Um, and largely true, I mean, it gets to be just too much on
Well, I think you're
overwhelm.
going to make anxious kids if you actually if you have everything lined out and sketched out that the child is going to. If I were the child, I would think, well, what do I have to do to please my parent or something, or my father or my mother? And if I don't do this, this, and this, I'm in trouble and I fail to meet the mark. And so then their self-esteem starts and they don't develop confidence in themselves to be able to be allowed to fail and so on and so forth. It just
Snowballs, doesn't it? Just too
snowballs, yeah.
much. Just too much. We get fancy with things because we care so much and we want to do a good job. And so we get out all of these elaborate kind of strategies. And I mean, I used to try to downplay, but talked a little bit about when kids were struggling with their children, token societies. You remember whole token societies, John?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Uh, big movement with, like, reward based systems, and you get
right.
tokens and you have a whole
Tokens,
running
yeah.
thing, and if you do this you get a token, if you do this bad thing you get a token taken away. It was like this whole award system that group homes operate from and stuff, and I always was like, man, I'm sorry, I just can't do that shit at home with my kids all the time. I
That's
can't keep track of it. I can't keep it straight. I'll bribe them with baseball cards a little bit.
right.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
that's that's,
exactly.
that's about it. Which we were laughing about, actually, with my younger son. We talked about how if they would get up out of bed, they would get a baseball card.
Mm.
Anyway, so Neil, any comments? I think we're losing this first one. We are agreement that we're ditching the complicated chore charts.
I think if you have a complicated chore chart, you're doing something wrong. I think having very clear expectations for your kid, like with ours, is they had like one room they were responsible for. We'd remind them to do it this weekend, whatever the thing is, but it needs to be very simple, not overwhelming. If you have a complicated chore chart, as John said, it causes anxious kids. I don't know, when I do work now and I'm given a huge punch list, I'm overwhelmed as an adult. Imagine being a 10-year-old kid and saying, "Here's your chores." I'm like, it's not gonna happen. So I
Hmm.
agree. complicated chore charts need to go clear responsibilities and follow through on the couple things that they're responsible for. And as they get older, they get a larger list, but it becomes one of those things where it's start by taking the trash out when they're 5, mow the yard maybe when they're 10, and then they kind of go from there. But it's a gradual build up that you give them the responsibilities, they learn it, they manage it. You just don't throw a whole bunch on them. So it needs the complicated chore chart does need to be ditched.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I
we
was,
got
when
that.
go ahead.
I said I think we got that one in full agreement. I
Yeah.
was just kind of getting ahead of you, and I was looking at the next one, which I find kind of interesting. It's avoiding the word no, and I'm kind of really curious as well, just about the trends. I didn't know that that was a trend. Like people were
Mental
talking about we're
parenting.
not supposed to say
Yeah.
no. Like what is that? Did Neil you just froze again? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
There you go. You're coming back, Neil. You froze again.
Yeah, no, I mean that was a trend. You don't say no, and you got to give reasons. You got to do all this stuff, but the idea of like I told because I said so, no, that's kind of gone away. They expect you to treat your children like little people that like you have to rationalize things with them. But the idea of being like, well, can I do this? No, that's kind of that's kind of gone to the wayside for a while. That gentle parenting idea. So yeah, that's a trend that has happened.
I mean, maybe it's okay to say because I say so.
I think it is.
Yeah.
You know,
But
I'm a little bit on the edge with this one. Let me see if I can't convince you guys a little bit on the other side of this. I actually really, really like information. And I think when I think about, love and logic, which is a big thing in the parenting world that I like have as a backdrop, I really want the kid to have information and then make their own decision. So, oftentimes, I mean, no, don't touch the stove. No, don't go out into the yard. I mean, of course, like, and I might even throw a hell no at you, right? Like, I have no problem with that, with my kids. So, but at the same time, I wonder if we miss a lot of opportunity to teach
Mm.
if we just say no.
So
What do you guys
you're not buying into Nancy Reagan, who said just say no to drugs?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
saying I don't buy that. I don't like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I don't like that phrase. I think that was too simplistic. It didn't help me, John.
Uh-huh.
It didn't do anything for me when I was a kid and she was our
Well,
president.
the thing is that I think the key is why boundaries create safety for children. So that was the second aspect to that. So it's healthy. Healthy authority is that you would, let's say, create the milieu. As a parent, as a father or mother, you are authoritative. You're not authoritarian. The difference is authoritative is you have a wealth of knowledge and experience, and you can see further outcomes and further out than what a kid could say. And so you can give them what they're able to comprehend, but there's a point where they're not going to be able to understand it in a rational way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you hear what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah, I think we could get into weeds with this one a little bit in the sense that, I mean, yeah, just saying no sometimes is very reasonable. I just like, I think I'm going to say ditch it, but a 0.5 on the ditch here on this one because I
okay.
like talking, I like teaching, I like getting information to the kiddos, and you don't have to be just the go to the shorthand, and I think they want information from you, particularly when they're
Again,
younger.
be authoritative but not authoritarian. I
Yeah,
think is
that is a nice
so.
differential. Yeah.
Give information, share it, give as much as they possibly could understand. But then you're going to have to make a decision where you're the parent, and they may you may want to give them as much information as possible, but they're not going to fully understand it. And I'm talking about younger kiddos
Yeah.
as opposed to teenagers.
Yeah. This next one, Neil, I did not know is a trend at all. When did we start demonizing timeouts, man? I love timeouts. What is this?
I, I'm gonna have to go back to with my wife because my wife is a big, I would say, pseudo big proponent of timeouts as long as you enforce them, but it's also
Hmm.
needs to be proportional to like the child. If they're a 2-year-old, you don't put them in a 30-minute timeout. You put them in a 2-minute timeout,
Yeah, there's like
right?
a
And I think
3 minute
that
rule per age
and
or
I
something like
I
that.
think in this case, because I'm kind of looking at this, and I'm just gonna say this as I feel like a lot of these are very extreme situations. Like everything that she's saying we need to ditch, it's always extreme, right? I think
Mhm.
every kid's different. Timeouts can be highly effective for a kid if it really is a negative consequence to them, right? That kid who wants to be with you, put him on the stairs, timeout for 2 minutes, and it's like you just killed his puppy. Like it's
Absolutely.
amazing. Now some kids you just look at them cross and they're like, oh, I disappoint them, and then sometimes you have to give them a spanking, right? Every kid handles things
Whoa.
differently, but I think the biggest issue is there were people who tried to only thing they did was timeout, and it would be they did the timeout more for themselves to get a break, and it was well above what it is. And so I think those types of timeouts, that's why they were villainizing it, because it's like, oh, we isolate the kid and we're not loving them, and there's all these things behind it. But yeah, that was another thing that's came up too. Everyone's trying
We're
to change
not
it.
loving them because we're
Yeah,
isolating them.
exactly.
No.
This hurts me worse than it hurts you. Yeah.
I'm curious when he said spanking, John. You had a YouTube head jam. What happened there?
Well, just that you have to be careful with spanking now when you talk about it. It's not,
Why?
it, well, you know,
Why?
well, you don't want to, yeah, you don't want people to misconstrue. That's a trigger word for some people. And,
Oh boy, is
yeah,
it? I'm going to
Yeah.
ditch that, John. Look. I'll be very clear. I think spanking can be a wonderful tool. It absolutely is. I love what you're saying, Neil. There's a lot of different tools that we use. The trouble is spanking really works uh, prior to cognition. When you can begin to do cognition, then you
uh,
use information and discussing and kind of 1, 2, 3 magic and timeouts and all the other stuff. But spanking a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old is very effective because they're not really thinking
yeah,
beings quite yet. The frontal cortex is barely developed. But when they
uh,
start knowing things and understanding
I'm going to
elementary
call,
school,
yeah, I'm
yeah,
going to
we
call
don't need to do it.
DHS on you.
Do
So
what?
I'm going to call DHS on you.
Hey, man, bring them. They can
Yes.
have a conversation with me all day long. I have no problem with
Yeah.
that.
You know, no, I don't. We didn't spank our kiddos very much, but to say that we didn't, that's not true either. We uh,
Right. I'm in
we
the same
we
boat.
very sparingly did it,
Absolutely.
but we still did it when it was necessary, especially if it meant they're going to run out in the road and or they walk off by themselves
Yeah,
and
all these people
yeah,
that are like, spank your kids. I mean, you look, if your kid is 8 years old and you're spanking them, there's a problem probably. Like,
well you
this
see
is
some,
little kids,
yeah,
little itty bitty kiddos that can't think.
well you see some of the moms at Kmart or Walmart rather, and they wallop their kids in public. I have some real issues with that. So
Well, but that's not a spanking. When you use the term wallop, that's not a spanking. That gets that point where it's more than just a
yeah,
normal thing, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
You should not be mad when you spank your kids, because then
No.
it
Say that
becomes
again,
abuse.
No, you should not be mad when you spank your kids. I agree with that.
Neil, on point.
On
So,
point, Neil.
all right. So next one is the one that I think is hilarious. Is helicopter parenting. Should we ditch helicopter parenting?
They did that on the Simpsons as a cartoon a few years ago. So all these things have been parodied on The Simpsons.
The Simpsons are awesome. Yeah, you know what? I am out in the world now as actively and openly saying freaking stop treating your children like a dot on your screen. Uh, Talk about helicopter parenting. Yeah, this is an easy one to ditch. I think people are picking up and learning the idea, but I don't think that we've learned it near enough, guys. Like
Mhm.
I am amazed with the idea of Life 360 and using the different apps that keep a monitor at all times on where your kid is. Now, I actually have it with my older kid. Now, I mean, I never look at it, um, but it's convenient. Like when he's coming in town, I've enjoyed that. But it's a neat thing to see. This is a little dot where Aaron is at in the state that he's currently at. Like, wow, that's kind of cool. But I lose it. It's not helpful. It's fully helicopter parenting, and it does nothing but make you anxious, and you get a dopamine hit every time you're wondering where your kid is. You check it, you feel that calms you down, but it doesn't last. But what, 5 minutes on prom night if you're checking where your kid is 20 times? Well, I stop, John, stop.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of that, Luke's prom is this Saturday, by the way. So we'll see how this goes.
Right?
Okay.
How's that working
Okay.
out?
Can I tell you that when I was raised, they said you get up early in the morning on a Saturday morning, watch a little bit of TV, have some cereal, go out and play for the rest of the day, and don't come back in except for lunch. Make it yourself, and then you come back late in the evening, and when the lights come on. And
Right.
so in the summertime, that would be 9 o'clock. And
You're literally thought of as a bad parent now.
yeah,
I don't understand it. I'm total ditch this one, Neil. I am more than ditch this one. I am like way bury it 6 feet under, please.
well, and we have so much information that we think every kid is at risk. Yeah, hypothetically they are, but the great majority of people aren't. And I know this is terrible, but most people are safe.
We have a myth
And
of creating safety with this information, John. The more
yeah,
information we have, the more safe we are.
yeah,
It's nonsense.
yeah.
This is nonsense. Yeah, mostly people are safe all the time. Yeah, we live in a. Yeah, I don't know. I could go off on this for a while. Save me, Neil. Save me.
I think it goes back to the same thing. You have to. There's things where you can be smart about giving your kids room to do it. You can watch out for them, but you don't have. They don't have to know it. To me, the biggest thing is if I have Life 360 on my kid's phone, I wouldn't tell them it so that they know what's going on. But it's also like if my kid walks to the neighbors, I might watch from my window to make sure they make it, but I'm not going to be there and be right behind them, right? As our parents, we are to protect them, but we also need to give them room to grow. So, and my idea with a lot of it is you can kind of be further away just for your peace of mind, but for the most part, use your judgment to say most things, like you said, Chris, 99.9999%, they're going to be safe. Let them live their life. Let them have fun. Let them be somewhere. And I was on my bike and went over it, messed my knee up, broke my bike. I had to figure out a payphone and call my mom to come take care of me. Like, it happens. Things
Yeah.
go through. And I'm fine, I think. That
So it
twitch,
was
by
a
the way.
banana. Was it a banana bike?
No, absolutely not. It was a mountain bike.
Uh,
A banana bike.
that
Yeah,
that
I
would have
just,
been Chris's generation is banana bikes, or my generation.
I love them, John. I think they're cool. I had the little streamers on the side of my
Yeah,
banana seat. But no, the thing is, we want to create safety. We want to protect, and I think that we live too much vicariously through the children. And as you say, Neil, we suffocate their ability to have their own experiences, and that happens when they're older too. I mean, I know we want to go see the grandkid, but you know what? They need to have their space and time to engage themselves in their own parenting way. I just had a longer relationship with somebody who was really struggling with that. He struggled with their parents being in the home so much that they just didn't have an ability to develop any of their own culture until they finally left. Like, you want to be protective, you want to be available, you want to be a good parent, but that sometimes means leave them the heck alone. Leave them alone. So, yeah, without further ado, we're losing this one, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
agree. Out the window.
I didn't know that making kids' bedrooms was trendy. What is this one, man? Did you know this? Do you guys know this was a trend?
I suspect it was because I just heard about Clavicle. Have you heard of him? He's
Mm-mm.
uh he's the guy that does extreme manscaping or whatever, and um, uh,
Like
I
haircuts
guess
and whatever?
or yeah, beautifying himself, making him, doing plastic surgery, and he streams his entire life on Instagram, and he's got 30,000 followers or something like that, and he uh, uh, he overdosed taking drugs because he said I couldn't take it anymore, because my life was always on display, and yet he was one of the people that were purporting, well, you have to follow this trend. He was trying to be an influencer, and his name was Clavicle, and I don't know what
That's
his real name
terrible.
is.
That's
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah, it is. And so I could see how a parent would say, I want my kid's room to look like something that would be in Architectural Digest or something of that sort, or it's up trendy and they have all the toys and all the, and it's more about the parent than it is about the kids and allowing the kid to express his or her own personality.
I thought this was a really funny one. I want to give her due, this author, and read it for you. Making kids' bedrooms trendy. So if your child actually wants a gray bedroom with gold accents and bows everywhere, then fine, go for it. But I'm so exhausted by this parenting trend of our turning our kids' bedrooms into two-page spreads for a decor magazine. What happened to kids using stickers on the back of their doors and filling their bookshelves with their own random treasures? 2026 should be the year you let your kids tape a poster to their wall, the year you let them choose the ugliest lamp you've ever seen for their bedside table, and the year you let them make their own spaces completely and 100% their own. I'm like, oh, heck yeah,
And
man.
it's this. My daughter, my oldest creative daughter, she put um, what is it? Those stars. That
Oh,
it.
absolutely. On the
Yeah,
magnets on
we
the.
have that with our kid too. We have the
Yeah.
same thing. You put the stars up above the bed, and
They
yeah.
loved it. She loved it, and
I think there's something to be said for two things. Is one, social media. Obviously, everyone wants to be presentable, but there's also the idea as a homeowner, your home is an investment, so you want to look at it from a resale value and blah 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 blah. And you forget that you need to live your life in your house. You need to. We have Lego strips on her hallway that, well, we've torn the drywall, which I need to fix still. But the idea is, our house is to be lived in, our
Yes.
house, and this kind of goes to the next one too. But yeah, that's the thing. Kids should be in kids, and I think there was something along, and I think it might be, Chris, kind of your generation or maybe a little bit older, that there was that weird idea that the moms had certain standards that they expected kids had to have it the certain way, because it even goes into the next ditch thing about the whole house, right? There's a whole thing that they prim and proper and everything has to be
Oh, yeah.
perfect, and there's these high expectations, right? All the magazines were like, here's what you should do as a mom or a family, and then I think, honestly, I think it might be partially your generation, Chris, is the problem. I
Oh, I
mean,
absolutely received that, Neil. I think you're 100% right. And as a matter of fact, I always quote him, man. This dude just struck me between the eyes, John. When a client looked at me, he was solidly middle millennial, and he looked at me. He's like, Chris, you got to understand, when we as kids and whatever, and you as was our parents and stuff, I just wanted to play soccer. That's all I wanted to do. And he said, you guys gave us those trophies. You were the ones that gave us that.
participation trophies.
And John, I was literally on the stage with High Five Sports handing those trophies out. I felt so convicted. I really did. No, you're
Yeah.
right. We started a lot of these trends. I think you boomers, John, messed us up, and we in turn messed the next up, and the millennials. That's why I have faith in this, in not the millennials as much the Gen Z. I think Gen Z is saving us, our world. I've said that before on the show.
Well, I think they're kind of resembling people from the Depression era or World War II
Mm.
uh, more.
It's funny how
So,
those things do play out, and you know, yeah. This next one, hiding our kids' lives in our house. That is a trend. You know, the perfect aesthetic home, the everything's got to look right, do right. I think there's a lot of similarities with that one. I think we all agree we're gonna lose it, right? Like why do we need to be perfect? Let's it's a FOMO generation. You got to
If,
look like the TikTok magazine article or the whatever. You got to act right, be right, look right. It's so much pressure. Losing
if
that.
your house is not a disaster area sometime, then you're not interacting with your kids and they're not interacting with you and they don't live there. They're
Right,
just passing through. They're guests. They're not, it's not, there's no ownership.
right
Yeah.
there. Do you see that behind the microphone?
Uh-huh.
That
Yeah.
picture right there. It's literally got a BB gun hole in the glass, and I leave it there on purpose
Same.
because I think it's awesome. I
Yeah.
do. I think it's awesome. I was probably
That,
really pissed off when it happened, but now it's like, John, that picture will forever in my life have a BB hole in Aaron's picture there.
so tell us the story about that.
I don't really know the story. A hole just showed up, John. They had a BB gun, and I had various
Ah,
things happening with a BB gun. So I later got confirmed in life. Yes, it was indeed the BB gun.
oh my goodness.
It happens. I
Uh-huh.
also have a mirror shot out on my Jeep that I haven't fixed either, and that was a BB gun event.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if you're a parent, you can't have nice things. It's just that's like it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. So we're losing that one, right?
Yeah, we're losing that one.
Over planning play dates and gatherings. I do think this was a trend where people were kind of really getting into like the whole idea of planning and getting together and having things set up and in a controlled environment. I mean, all of these birthday parties, with the skating rink and the movie
Well, hang on. Don't
theater.
bring up birthday parties yet. That's going to be like three things down here. So let's not talk about birthday parties yet.
Oh, really? Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for saving me. Yeah, because we could blast that one. We could blast that one pretty good. It's unstructured, man. Do human beings have any ability with AI in our face to be creative anymore?
Yeah. Well,
You know?
yeah. Well, I was thinking because as I was writing my dad's funeral service, actually, and I was getting worried and anxious about the time, and I said I'm just going to put some information in for AI, and I'm going, no,
Hmm.
it just absolutely not. Any if we rely on AI for everything or stuff, there's no authenticity, there's no soulness there. And so if you overplan a play date, I'm transitioning over here, and for gathering, there's no room for that spontaneity, that creativity, that time where you just get together with some friends and you have a cookout or something, but you don't have to have everything all with all the balloons and streamers or anything like that. Just do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I don't know. What are you thinking, Neil? Did you do play dates? Did you set things up or let your kids go figure it out?
We'd have friends that we'd invite over. We'd go over there, or we'd go meet places. But it was always just, hey, we'll figure it out when we get there. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like we don't need to do a big ordeal for a lot of the stuff. And I think that's when those play dates become more about the parents and what they're gonna do than it is about the kids. And I think that's the biggest thing she's kind of talking about is like it's a parent itinerary, not a kid itinerary, because
Yeah.
kids they come here and they go to the playroom or they go to the bedroom and they just go play or they go outside, right?
they want a box.
Right. They don't
They
do
want to
anything.
play in the box.
It's just yeah. I think people just they don't. And I feel with all the social anxiety we have as a younger generation, sometimes it's nice just to go with no expectations. And I think that's why they're ditching it because people just want to go and just let's do a barbecue. You bring one side if you can, and that's it. Boom, hang out, chill. Whatever you need to
You
do.
know, just to highlight a little bit more, Neil, you're really right from a therapy perspective. I really feel like expectations crush a lot of things. It just creates so much pressure, so much performance anxiety, so much terrible strain. And a real example. is the speed dating event thing that I went at forever a while ago. John, yeah, man. I went in and I was like, you know what? I'm not having any expectations here. If I meet somebody, great. If I don't, great. Like, I'm not kind of going in there with the mindset because my mind was going into it. It was going deep in like, what do I wear? What do I say? How do I do? Is my haircut right? Look, all this crazy stuff. It's like, no, 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 no. Like, stop. And when you come across something like parenting where you care so much about the well-being of your kid and and you're doing all of the stuff to try to make everything right and do everything you know prim and proper and you lose spontaneity, but I think you create crazy expectations and don't do that.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. They need speed dating to find friends.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
like
Friend, yeah.
no nothing. It's just a bunch of guys in a room, a bunch of girls in a room. They just talk, and all they do is like you talk to this guy, come up with some silly topic, see if they can see if you click, and just make it for friends, right? Because I mean, you went through that where you doing the friendships, right? But that's
100%.
once again, I think that'd be kind of a cool thing. Speed dating for friends versus actually trying to get a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. Just for friendship would be fantastic.
And
So
and honestly, I'm talking about same gender. Stay with the
yeah,
same gender. We're
exactly,
speed
right?
dating dudes for friendship.
Right.
Nothing
Same
but
thing with
guys
women,
from right.
right?
Because
You
all
don't
we're
have
going
to
to
get
say is,
Mm.
we're,
What do you say, John? Mm.
we're regretting. Yeah,
Oh, we're gonna have a conversation on speed dating with dudes
yeah.
and friendships. No, I agree with you, Neil. Let's move on. Doing everything for our kids, I
Oh,
think that
man.
has been solidly kind of defeated, right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
is there much that we want to say on that one? I mean, snowplow parenting is what we call it.
yeah.
just
Well,
stop
they
it.
did one on The Simpsons. Okay.
There we go with
Just,
The
just, just
Simpsons already did it.
yep.
So,
But yeah,
yeah.
just stop doing everything for your kids. You know, I hear the horror stories of the mom that goes to the job interview with their 20-year-old kid, or the
Ugh.
kids who get into college because the dad talked to the dean, or obviously the kids who have trouble at school and they somehow smooth it out. Like, just stop it. Let your kids do it themselves. Like she said, give them their server, give them their plate, figure it out.
okay. All right.
All right.
Back in the day when there was the draft, my number, I drew 69. They drafted up to 100. They drafted my number, and I had to go down to Miami. And I saw my mom and dad. I got out of the car, and Sergeant Kerner, I remember this guy. He was recruiting. He said, "Pope, it's not too late. You can sign up, and you don't have to go to Vietnam." And I just thought I was going to take my chances. And I was looking at mom and dad, and they were crying. And dad wasn't, but mom was. And you know what? I think that was good for me.
Yeah.
It was good for me. They couldn't save me. They couldn't get me out of that mess. And the thing was, it was an adventure, and I came out of it okay. I think most kids, if they don't have some failures or difficult times or struggles, they're not going to build character. They're not going to build resilience.
Let me give you the other side of that too, though. That so you don't feel crashed on listening to this. It's hard. You do fall into some natural traps, John, by
Mhm.
by wanting to rescue. My older kid did great with jobs and interviewing and all that kind of stuff. I kind of coached him up a little bit and gave him some information, and
That's
he ran
different.
with it. It's very different, but listen to where I'm going, because number two kid, I just got convicted on this show a little bit. Listen to you guys, because because he was struggling. He did. He had anxiety, probably a little bit, and whatever, and he was struggling, man. And the thing is he needed. So I just kind of set up a conversation and went to the fish camp and asked for the owner guy and said, "Hey, this is the thing." He's the hey, and I chatted him up a little bit, and then I tried to walk out the room, or whatever, and maybe Adam had a conversation with. My son looked at me. He's like, "Dad, don't do that." He said, because he was managing at the time at the car wash. He's like, "Dad, we make fun of people that do that stuff. Don't do that."
Do that.
right. So I was
Yeah.
convicted. I just, you fall into traps, man. You're not going to be perfect, and we're just trying to do our best. That's kind of the main
And
point.
the thing to keep in mind too, if you feel like you have to step in for your kids, they're never going to learn that they can make it through the challenges. And that's going to be more detrimental than anything else. They need to learn that they can manage it, they can figure it out, they can make it past it. So if you step in to do that, you better be prepared to step in a lot, and then your kid's never going to leave the house. So I would say give them
Right.
a chance to grow and blossom into something by making it through the challenges and overcoming things and having that pride that they did something. My kids went and they filled out their applications and they got their jobs and they did that. I didn't go talk to the managers. I didn't go do that. I wasn't, and it's great for them, right? So that is super important. So just keep that in mind. Is if you are convicted saying, hey, I really want to help my kids because they're not great at this or this, coach them at home, help them do it, and then guide them if they don't make it. Talk to them, help them figure it out, but don't do it for them. We need
Right.
to ditch that. Don't do it for them. They'll do it themselves. They'll figure it out. But you still have to kind of be the kind of prod them, but don't do it for them, right?
We all agree. I agree with that, man. This next one, over the top birthday parties. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is a total ditch. I think we've already alluded it earlier in in the, structured things, the prepared whatevers. I have always, let me tell you something. I felt so much pressure as a parent with this stuff. I really did. It was like, I'm not a creative person when it comes to these types of things. I mean, I have people having whole superheroes, like they had the Hall of Justice, John, the Hall of Justice, and people were coming in dressed up as their superhero or whatever. I'm like, I can't compete with that. I got no shot. What am I gonna do?
No, no. I don't think I ever had a birthday party except for a cake, and that was and fried chicken, and that was it. And
Cake and
that
fried
was
chicken.
okay.
Yeah.
I got to eat fried chicken. I love that. So that was
I'm aware of the time. Let's move on. We're losing that one. I'm just
um,
authorizing that ditch. Buy more parenting guides that promise solutions. Um, I don't know. What do you guys think here? I'm a little bit kind of. This is another one of the point fives. I think honestly, one of the things I did very first thing when becoming a parent was getting a developmental book and reading some things, and I think that really helped me. So I don't flat out want to ditch this one. Although, as you said before, Neil, I mean, she goes into extremes with people doing all this kind of stuff. Read, learn. That's my point.
I
yeah,
I I think the biggest part to that is that if you go into buying a guide thinking that's going to solve all your problems, that's the problem. Because having experience learning, like you guys from your therapy, I mean, you guys go through continuing education about the dynamics of finding new things that are good versus bad, how to deal with your patients and client. Like it's always adjusting, and as you
Hmm.
learn, you find out how to adapt. So I would say buying parent guides is good, but thinking they're going to solve all your problems is bad.
yeah. Okay. That's the other thing is be discerning when you buy parenting guides. So in other words, books, because if you get something from Gwyneth Paltrow, what is she? What is her? Her company or something from the wellness company, I would look at it very skeptic. I would do it with a jaundiced eye. But if you get something that is, let's say, evidence based or something that is very practical, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it'd be good to be helpful.
Yeah,
But
as a matter of fact, here's my plug. Anytime I talk about parenting, I always like to point out the Love and Logic material because I find it to be really a the most helpful thing. I call it part of the trifecta, things that I really rely on and lean on. Emotion focused therapy, Financial Peace University for finances and relationships, and then this parenting thing is really best served by Love and Logic. And there's other things similar to it, but um, you look up some of their books, man. I was at a conference locked on, and I learned so much just in my own personal life as a parent when I got introduced to this, and my kids were pushing teenagers or were in the teenage years at the time. It was about 10 years ago, probably something like that. Anyway, they gave me a book that was, you're parenting your teenager or something like that. They had a lot of material out, and I would kind of look at different specific situations and look at their dialogues and kind of get thoughts and figures from it, and it kind of helped me create my own style and my own way. But
So
yeah,
it
I
was
agree.
you were internalizing the material and you were adapting it to what your kids
Right,
needs were.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because the fundamentals are there. It's not a punitive. It's a relationship based kind of thing. It's something that you um, I remember it being teach, teach, teach. It's all about teaching your kids, and teaching life lessons in unique ways. So love and logic is a great thing to go. So I'm actually on the not ditch thing on this one. Is that okay?
Yeah. I'm on the not ditch, but use discernment.
Use great discernment for sure. And then 11, ignoring parental instincts. Yeah, um, trust yourself, man. Trust yourself. You have built-in wiring. You have built-in framework. You have built-in understandings of what you are supposed to be and do naturally with parenting. And I think people are afraid to trust themselves, and that leads to fear of trusting your children, and that's a huge problem. Huge problem.
I think it's important also to invest in your own self discovery, because let's say you're in a parent you were parented by someone who was neglectful, or you were a latchkey kid, or well, that would be more your generation, Chris. But
Hmm.
the that the maybe there you weren't given hugs or the love or the listening and the patience, then you might have to discern and figure out those areas of growth. But also then be able to then use those instincts that said, well, what is wrong with, let's say, being permissive in this case with my son or my daughter, or why do you might have some sort of your some trepidation about allowing them to just have a sleepover, for example, go to someone's house for the first time. And you might have to deal with your own stuff about saying, well, I didn't have a good experience back then, and being able to but the kids will need to have that experience so that they can start seeing the world and start experiencing the world. Um, so I don't know. Just I think trust the force. That's
Oh, trust the force.
yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I love that thing. Best
Yeah.
cigar lighter ever. Okay, we're gonna do a section before we run out of time today. We don't want to run too long with this, where we do practical questions to you, John. I'm gonna take number two. You can take whichever one you want. This is a little segment where we just speak to you through the screens, because as though we're not your therapist, we not delivering therapy service to you, but we want you to really begin thinking about, like, what are these things that you're doing. And so my question to you listening is as I have given the example of being in the interview with my kid, what what are some things that you're doing that your kid can do for themselves? They 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 feel like so helpless. It's easy to get caught into that trap, and we all do it. So I'm not asking if, I'm asking you to really think, right? Like, what are things that you're doing for them that they really can do for themselves, that stunts their growth, that stunts their experimentation, that stunts their problem solving in a lot of ways, and we do it in a lot of ways. So our job can be getting out of the way a whole lot more. So think about that. I'm curious, ma'am. I'm curious, sir. What are something that you are doing for your kids that they actually can do for themselves? John, what's your practical question, sir?
Well, do I allow my child to experience consequences that help them grow? And so, in other words, that means letting go. And sometimes you you may have some, sir or ma'am, you might have a sense of you don't want your kiddos to to experience something that happened to you when you felt like you were growing up. And so you don't want them to experience that same thing. But in order for your child to fully express and to become themselves and become fully human, and becoming more the person that they were in, that they need to be, or their natural bent of growth, that it means sometimes having to cut some of those strings and saying, I can't control the outcome because this will make my child stronger. If they fail, or when they fail, they surely will. You can also say that that they can come and know that they are fully accepted, that they're fully loved by you, and that's not going to ever change, and that they can be strengthened, therefore, to go out more and to experience life to the fullest, to become fully functional in their lives.
Love that. Thank you, John. Look, guys,
Thank you.
that is sort of a glimpse into a real therapy session. That is what we do. There's a reason why we have the title, and I love the section, practical questions to let you think, to let you know. We're wrapping up on the shrink wrap up, though. John, we're going head to head, man. We're going head
Okay.
to head.
Well, don't you think we ought to have Neil do something there too, or not?
Uh, it's up to you, Neil.
I'm joking. I'm joking. Yeah. I've
He's
got to ask my mom if it's okay if I can do the shrink.
oh, you do. You got
Okay.
to make sure your
I got to go
mom's
ask
okay with
mom.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, you go ahead and you ask your mama, and I'll go
All right,
ahead and
mom.
do this. So this is a wrap up segment where we kind of have a friendly competition. We kind of summarize the show. Neil gets to decide who wins for the week, winning, pride, and loan, and he keeps track of it for the end of the year. So we'll see how we're doing at the end of 2026. So John, we're head to head today. My shrink wrap up is this. Look, we live in a wild time. We live in a time where you're overrun, overwhelmed, and have way too much information. Science is great. Instincts, I think, are even better. So, parenting is such an involved relationship. There is no other relationship like it. You are literally responsible, if you think about it, until a kid is 18, at least in the States and around the world, that might be different. You're responsible for them, and you're supposed to control them. But it is not a relationship that you can control. You cannot control another human being. So you're already set up to do something impossible. And I want you to realize that you don't have to do the impossible. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to look right, act right, do it the right way. There is no right way. Every situation that is a parent child relationship is unique into the one that you create with your child. Love them, care for them, be with them, support them, encourage them, do all the cool words, but relax into that relationship and enjoy the space, the sanctity, the cool development between you and that individual child, whether you have 8 children or one child. That is fine. Like, release the tensions, release the anxiety, and enjoy teaching your child what they need, which is life lessons. John, what you got, bro?
I think in terms of parenting is um, because I'm reflecting on what was my own experience or Joy's experience with raising our kids, and certainly wasn't perfect. And there were bumps in the road. And sometimes you want to say you wanted to do, I've mentioned The Simpsons a million times, but do like Homer and strangle your kids and all of that. It's okay. You don't act on it, but it's one thing that you can do. If you fail and let's say you give them too much rope and they fail and they hurt and they get hurt and you hurt for them, you don't want them to have to experience that. But in order for them to live the most full life that they could and not live timidly, but live boldly, you have to have those failures that happen. That you go with this in terms of a challenge, not as a task, but as an adventure, and that your kids and that your spouse and as a family, you're all going into this and on this adventure and on this journey. And as Chris has said before, every every family has a different task and a different way of doing it. But if you are going to do it in a way that it brings joy and light into your children's lives, and you prepare them to live boldly into the future and into their lives.
Love that. Nicely done. Neil, what you got, man? Who's the victor between the head up, John and Chris?
I'm gonna have to say between the two of you guys, one, everyone should listen to both of you guys because you both had amazing points to do. But this week, I think I'm gonna give it to John. He wrapped it up very greatly. I think the idea of telling your kids to go out boldly, I think is a great thing to end on.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it to John today. Good job, John. That was a great wrap up.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you,
Good
Chris.
stuff. Good
Thank you,
stuff.
Neil.
That is a shrink wrap up. This is the Through a Therapist Eyes podcast. Tell a friend, help us grow, help us help them so that we can all figure this stuff out together. All right. Stay well, and we'll see you next week. Take